Good evening, everyone, and welcome into your performance management class. I hope you all have a wonderful day. So first of all, thank you for choosing our performance management course at Hamzah Academy. My name is Matlu Bilahi, your performance management course leader. I have been teaching ACCA courses for last more than 14 years, and my core areas are performance management, advanced performance management, and strategic business leader. These are the three papers that I teach. I also work in sustainable finance industry, where my passion, my knowledge is to learn about the latest developments which are happening in the sustainable and green finance, and then help companies, business organizations to improve their performance. So basically, if I tell you that I am living and teaching this paper, performance management, I am living, and I can live my whole life for this paper, performance management. How much I love with this, you will see, performance management. Okay, so this is a little bit my introduction. I also have been teaching in Mauritius from 2013 to 2019. You might have heard from your colleagues or from your friends or relatives. So this is a little bit introduction of mine. Now I would request you guys to introduce yourself, your name, and like how many papers you are studying and what you have heard about this paper, performance management. So I would request Kavi Raj. Hi, Kavi.
Hello everyone, I am Hamzah from Mauritius, and I am currently working at Huawei as accountant. And it is my first time doing ACCA. It is my first attempt, and I am doing on it 4 times daily.
Okay, good. So what you have heard about this paper? Stories.
Frankly speaking, I don't know much what the module is about.
Okay, have you studied management accounting?
Yes,
Okay, perfect. Good. Thank you, Kaviraj. Thanks. Okay, I would request Bhamini. Hi, Bhamini. I hope I am pronouncing right.
Hi, sir. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Yeah, so hi everyone. I'm Bhamni Anmol. I'm from Mauritius, and I am actually an audit analyst currently at BDO Solutions, and this is my first attempt at this paper.
Okay, all right. So, and how many papers you are studying?
Currently one.
Okay, one. And what stories have you heard about performance management?
That it's quite difficult, and many students do this paper 2 or 3 times.
Okay, all right. Okay, let's see. It's a big challenge to make it easy, huh? Okay, next, Najiba. Hi, Najiba.
Hi, sir. So I'm Najiba Walker. I work at ACCA Management as corporate administrator. And what I've heard on this paper is it's a bit tough. So just see, and I'm doing also financial management along with this paper.
Okay, you are taking PM and FM.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Najiba. Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, Shika.
Hi, sir. Hi, everyone. I'm Shika from Mauritius. I'm an auditor from EY. And it's my first attempt, first paper of ACCA.
Okay, and what stories have you heard about performance management?
I have heard that this paper is quite challenging and tough.
Have you studied management accounting, or you have had exemptions?
I had exemptions.
Okay, all right. Perfect. Thank you, Shika.
Welcome.
Mahir. Hi, Mahir.
Hi, sir. I'm Mahir Nudadi. I'm from Mauritius, and I'm currently an accountant at Axis Group, and it's my first attempt. And I don't know about the stories, but I know that it's quite tough performance management.
Okay, and how many papers you are studying in this session?
It's my first paper with Hamzah Academy, and I'm doing tax in Mauritius.
Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you, Mahir, thank you. All right, and next, hi, Teresa.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I am studying both financial reporting and performance management. And what I've heard about performance management is that it's quite complex and tough.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Teresa.
Welcome.
Okay, next I would request Chotu. Hi, Chotu.
Hi, everyone. I am Chatunu Mohammed. I am currently working as an auditor at the RSM. It's my second attempt for performance management, but it's the first time I am studying the performance management with Hamzah Academy. It's quite a tough topic for an auditor compared to other subjects I have already completed and successfully passed.
Yeah, it's like because there's a lot of syllabus actually in the performance management that you have to cover. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Chotu.
Welcome.
Safinas. Hi, Safinas. Safinas, can you hear me? Okay. Okay. So I would request Nahir. Hi, Dukit Nahir. Nahir, can you hear me? Okay. I think there might be some issue, so we are moving on. Thank you very much, all of you, for your wonderful introduction. And we are now moving into next point. Before we start discussing the syllabus, okay, no problem. Safinas, thank you. No problem. Yes, no problem. All right. Because this performance management, is in everything, whatever the business is, whether the business is small or the business is big. Okay, whether the business is selling small grocery or vegetables, or the business is running a big resort. Okay, there is performance management everywhere. The question is, what factors normally affect performance management? So this is a very broad thing or very broad discussions. We are in 2024 and we know that the global economy and macroeconomic trends are shifting. Macroeconomic, or you can say mega trends. There are so many changes happening all around the globe. What are they? And how they affect performance management? Because you are at the early stage of your studies, or you might be working at the early stage in your career as an accountant. So you may not have the opportunity to analyze the bigger reports of factors that affect performance of the organization. So it's a good opportunity for you to have an idea about how different factors affect performance of the organizations. If I give you a list of, or if I start explaining those factors, for example, first of all, I start with technology. Technology is changing very fast, and technology is advancing, and we are now in the era of AI, artificial intelligence, and yes, AI has impact on performance of the organization. Some organization would be affected directly, and some would be affected indirectly. For some organization, this AI advancements are opportunities. Yes, embedding AI into their business models, into their strategy, into their operations, into their processes, AI can help them achieve competitive advantage. But for other organizations, this AI may be as a threat. This may, like you can say, remove those organization competitive positioning or competitive advantage. Other factor that is right now shaking the global industries and economies is the supply chain disruptions. You might have heard the trade rivalry between the United States and the China, and how the Western companies and American companies are moving out of China. So they are going into other countries, other Southeast Asian countries or other countries. So this is also right now affecting all around the globe companies, that supply chain disruptions. And you might have seen a little like evidence of this supply chain disruption during the COVID, when there was lockdowns and all around the globe, the world has factories were closed and shutdowns, and there was shortage of a lot of things during the COVID we have seen. So this affects performance of the organizations. Another factor which I want to discuss with you is the climate change. You might have heard about the climate change. What is climate change? Climate change is about the changing temperatures. You might have seen in Mauritius as well how the rain patterns in Mauritius has changed, how the weather patterns has changed. Now there is sometimes there are more rains and sometimes there are droughts. Sometimes there are more precipitation and sometimes there is a less. The temperatures, overall average temperatures are rising. Oceans, sea levels are rising. And imagine like Mauritius being a tourist country, tourist island, where the large part of the economy and the jobs and the employment and the finance that depends upon the tourism and tourism sector. So you might have heard in the news and business articles and press reports that how the rising sea levels and all these type of problems would affect the tourism industry as well. You might have heard in the Cape Town, for example, South Africa, that how the 4-year drought in the Cape Town led to water scarcity. You might have heard, because basically I want to give you more practical example of how climate change affect performance of the organization. Water scarcity, because the water levels in the dams in the Cape Town region were reached to their lowest levels. So what happened? You know, Cape Town is one of the most famous tourist destination in the world, one of the top destination in the world. So there are like hundreds thousands of hotels in the Cape Town, and then the government of the Cape Town in the Western province, they advised the hotels to make less use of water. There was a limit on the water usage, limit on water. Imagine this, how this would affect, like beaches, for example, in Mauritius, you know, the beauty of beaches. When you go on the beach, you are having like swimming, and then you are coming back, and then you are taking shower on the beach showers. So imagine if in Cape Town, this facility is not available, or there's a limited water available. And then I can connect. So hotel industry directly affected. And when hotel industry is getting affected, the overall tourism industry getting affected. The second example I can give you from the Europe, for example, issue. You might have heard that how the severe weather patterns in Spain, in Portugal, in some parts of the France, in Germany, in Italy, how this is affecting the supply chains, logistics, crops, or the agriculture industry is one of the industries that is directly badly affected by the changing climate conditions. You know that, like in Mauritius, if I give you example from Mauritius, like sugarcane is grown over there, or vegetable. Yes, I have seen in Mauritius when I was there that during the heavy rainfall, what happened? When there are heavy rains, vegetable prices go up. Okay, vegetable prices goes up. This is the impact of the climate change. So let me make it more simple for you, sorry. Let me make it more simple for you. How climate change would affect performance? Yes, it has impact on sales, revenue. It has impact on cost, because when there are severe floods or when there are severe droughts, what would happen? The outcome, the yield would be low. And when yield or the output is low, for example, for the crops, what would happen? Their cost will go up. Okay, then you can think of their impact on the production, and there would be lots of other issues that might affect the performance of the organization because of the climate change. Okay, so this is just a discussion of climate change. Another mega trend that is impacting the business organizations is social thing. People have now social media access. People are now on the social media. There are fake information, there are misinformation. Information is accessible, readily accessible. And now business organizations are even more vulnerable. Okay, people, if they find that an organization is violating human rights, or if an organization is polluting, for example, rivers, polluting the soil, polluting the air, okay, and then people will spread that message on the social media, and the people and the consumers will start boycotting. So boycotts, okay, is a new phenomena that is impacting performance of the organization. So, for example, if an organization is not taking care of the planet, not taking care of the soil, not taking care of the nature, not taking care of the local community, so people will boycott that brand, that product. So these are all interesting developments which are directly impacting and affecting performance of the organizations. I have just discussed a few of this, although there are lots of other factors as well. So in overall that context, I hope you have got idea that how interesting this subject is. And when after this you will be going into advanced performance management, you will have the broader horizon and broader knowledge of how different factors impact in performance, because at APM level you will be covering all these things. But at this performance management levels, this is a more about calculation. This is a more about numbers. So here, there will be less discussion about all these macroeconomic or mega trends. But at APM, you will have the more opportunity. Okay. All right. So we are now going to discuss the performance management syllabus in detail. Okay, there are total section A, section B, C, D, and E. There are total 5 sections of the performance management syllabus. Let's have a quick look at each section and what are the topics you will be studying. Section A is about management information systems and data analytics. So what you can expect here, information technologies and systems for organizational performance. The syllabus begins by focusing on the users and control of information management, information systems, and data analytics. That will make it simple for you. You are working probably, and you know that these days organizations are collecting more data. They are making use of more and more technology. They are using cloud, using cloud, for example. This class is also being facilitated by cloud and being facilitated by information system. So increasingly, organizations are using information, they are collecting more data and using those data to plan, to control, and to make decisions. Yes, increasingly. Imagine, for example, like if I give you example from Mauritius, let's say, like a sugarcane factory, for example, let's say, I would say like Omnicane, for example. Okay, Omnicane is a sugar company, okay, sugar industry. So they can collect data about how much sugarcane is being cultivated. Okay, so the acres of sugarcane cultivation, and then they can use that data to plan for their production. Okay, sugarcane cultivation or sugarcane harvest, sugarcane yield. So even they can, interestingly, use climate models. For example, if there is very good rain in the sugarcane season, so ultimately this will increase and improve the yield because of the rainfall. Sugarcane is good crop that receives that rainfall. So this will increase sugarcane yields, and sugarcane yield will be, that data will be used by the Omnicane to forecast their forecast production. They can schedule their production, and they can make a lot of decisions on that basis as well. Okay, so basically the point here is that any company, whether that's a small or that is small or large, all business organizations are collecting data to make planning, controls, and decision making. Large businesses collecting data. Why? Why data? Because they use data for planning, for control, and for decision making. Okay, that's a simple understanding. Next, section B. Section B is about, so in section A, you will be learning about the different types of management information systems, use and control of information, how to use and how to control information, and what is big data and data analytics. So all this is a theoretical discussion. Section B, here, my dear, you will have the opportunity to learn about specialist cost and management accounting techniques. So what are the specialist cost and management accounting techniques? Let's have a look. These are activity-based costing. What is activity-based costing? You might have studied previous papers or previous classes about absorption costing. Absorption costing. So absorption costing is a traditional costing system in which overheads are calculated in a traditional way by calculating a single overhead absorption rate. My dear, this method of absorption of overheads is not effective, not accurate for modern day organizations. What are modern day organizations? Modern day organizations are more complex. They have large portfolio of products. So the traditional overhead absorption method would not work for these modern day organizations. For example, like give me name of any example company like MCB Bank or Lux Resorts, or you talk about a gym, a fitness center, or you talk about a restaurant, or talk about coffee shop, or talk about furniture shop, or talk about a clothing brand. Traditional absorption costing would not help. So we need more advanced, more accurate method of cost calculation, and that is activity-based costing. So you will learn about activity-based costing. Next, target costing. What is target costing? Target costing is also a different way to look at cost. Unlike traditional method of costing, where we first calculate cost, then add profit, and then come to sale price. Under target costing, we follow opposite approach. What is opposite? Under target costing, first we need to know about our price, and then we need to know our target profit. So deduct target profit out of target price to calculate target cost. So this is a different way to look at costing. Next, life cycle costing. Life cycle costing is another interesting way to look at the costing of a business or a product. Instead of calculating periodic cost of a product, what is periodic cost? Periodic cost is the conventional way to calculate cost. Conventional costing method where we calculate cost of a product on period by period basis, like one accounting period, we calculate cost for one accounting period. But now we have realized that this periodic costing would not offer accurate picture of a product, especially when a product has incurred significant amount of research and development, and when this product will end its life, there will also be certain cost incurred. For example, decommissioning cost, or cleaning cost, or decomposing cost, or degradation cost. Yes, there are different types of products which may require post-life cost. So that's why we need to follow a more accurate way of costing that covers the cost of each stage of product life cycle. So we need to study life cycle costing. I hope you find it interesting method of cost calculation. Then there's a throughput accounting. Under throughput accounting, we look at resources differently. Especially throughput accounting is more useful when we are dealing with bottleneck resources. Bottleneck resources. You might be thinking, what are bottleneck resources? These are also called constraints, or restricted resources, or another name used is called limited resources. Mean we have limited resources available. For example, limited amount of material we have, or limited amount of labor we have, or limited time of process we have. So what to do then? What is the best way to maximize profit when we have bottlenecks? So we have this method, throughput accounting. Okay, means this method is used like how to maximize profit. How to maximize profit. Which method to use? When we are facing with constraints or bottleneck resources. What to do? So we have this method of throughput accounting. And then number 5 is interesting, accounting for environmental and sustainability factors. As I mentioned earlier, that now the environmental factors, nature, has impact on performance of the organization. As I mentioned, climate. That's why now organizations are under pressure to consider, capture, and calculate their environmental cost. Now, how to calculate environmental cost? You will be learning here under accounting for environmental and sustainability factors. So, my dear, this is the section B, specialist cost and management accounting techniques that you will be learning about. Moving on, section C. Section C is about decision-making techniques. Here, you will learn about how to make decisions. How to make decisions under different conditions. Okay, so if we look at the summary of this section, the syllabus then consider decision making. Candidates need to appreciate the problems surrounding scarce resources. Yes, when an organization has scarce resource, then how to make decision. Pricing, how to make pricing decisions, and make or buy decisions. Like if you have the choice to decide on whether you should make this product in-house or you should buy it from outside supplier, then how will you make this decision? This is called make or buy decision. However, and how this relate to the assessment of performance. Next, risk and uncertainty are a factor of real life decisions, and candidates need to understand risk and able to apply some basic methods to help resolve the risk inherent in decision making. So here you will learn about how to consider risk and uncertainty when making decisions. So these are the topics list that we will be covering under this section, decision making. And by the way, this is the longest or lengthiest section of performance management syllabus, because you will be covering many different decision making techniques and tools. For example, you will be learning about relevant costing. Relevant costing means when you are making a decision, you have to consider only relevant cost. So how will you decide which cost is relevant? You will learn here. Next, cost volume profit analysis. Here you will learn about how to make decisions about break-even analysis. What is break-even analysis? Break-even analysis is a point, or a break-even is a point where total cost of doing business equals to revenue. So when you are starting a new product, or when you are starting a new production, first your goal will be to achieve break-even point. So you need to know at what level you will achieve your break-even point. So here you will learn about how to calculate break-even point. Next, limiting factors. Limiting factors are those factors, as I mentioned earlier, which are in limited supply. So you will making decision how to make best use of limited resources. For example, if you have limited materials or limited labor or limited machine time, you have to decide how to make best use of those limiting factors. Okay, so you will be learning here about how to make best mean optimum use of scarce. Another name is used, scarce or limited resources. Okay, then is the pricing decision. Very interesting. You will learn here about how to make pricing decision. What factors are considered when making pricing decisions? So you will learn different dimensions of this topic. Then make or buy and other short-term decisions. Here you will have the opportunity to learn about different types of short-term decisions and the criteria to make these type of decisions. For example, make or buy or shutdown decision. For example, if you are making 4 different types of products, like you are selling, let's say, juices, you are selling bread, you are selling fruits, you are selling smoothies, you are selling cakes. So you have to decide which product should we continue and which product should we discontinue. So how will you make this type of decision? You will learn here. And the last area, dealing with risk and uncertainty in decision making. We know that how risk factors are changing. Risk landscape is changing. So how to consider risk and uncertainty factors into the decision making? You will learn this here. Okay, all right. So this is the lengthiest area of performance management syllabus, decision making, because all these topics are quite long, but very interesting. Section D is about budgeting and control. Budgeting and control. By the way, both budgeting and control are interlinked with each other. How both are interlinked with each other? Let's have a look at the summary of all this. Budgeting is an important aspect of many accountants' lives. Yes, the syllabus explores different budgeting techniques, including analytical techniques and the problems inherent in them. Yes, the different budgeting techniques and the problems, advantages and disadvantages. The behavioral aspects of budgeting are important for accountants to understand, and the syllabus includes consideration of the way individuals react to budget. Yes, react to budget means this is about behavioral issues. Very interesting. Okay, for example, if your organization is planning to change its budgeting method from budgeting method 1 to budgeting method 2, do you know that people would resist? Yes, some staff, some employees may not like that change in budgeting. So this is related to behavioral change. The preparation of fixed, flexible, incremental budgets is assumed knowledge from management accounting. Okay. Then the second part of this is standard costing and variances. So all the variance examined in management accounting, yes, if you have studied your earlier management accounting paper, then you already know about the basic variances like material variances or labor variances or overhead variances. These are assumed knowledge in performance management paper. So on the basis of those, you will learn here advanced variances. Advanced variance means you will learn here mix and yield variances and planning and operational variances at this level. So if we look at the topics list, of this area. You will learn here about different types of budgetary systems and types of budgets. You will learn here about analytical techniques in budgeting and forecasting. You will learn about standard costing. You will learn about material mix and yield variances. You will learn about sales mix and quantity variances. You will learn about planning and operational variances. And at the end, you will have the opportunity to learn about performance analysis of an organization. Performance analysis means you will analyze how an organization has incurred its cost or earned its revenue. So you will be able to analyze it. Last area of the syllabus is about performance measurement and control. So performance measurement and control, what you will be learning here. If you look at the name of the subject is performance management. And this area is about performance measurement. Okay, performance measurement. So you should know that performance management and measurement, these are although different things, but both are linked with each other. The syllabus concludes with performance measurement and control. This is a major area of syllabus. Accountants should appreciate the importance of both financial and non-financial performance measures in management, and should also appreciate the difficulties in assessing performance in divisionalized business. So let me make it simple for you. What areas you will be covering here in this section? Excuse me. So you will learn here about performance analysis in private sector, public sector, and not-for-profit organization. Yes, my dear. Here you will have the opportunity to learn about how to measure financial and non-financial performance. Financial and non-financial performance. What is financial performance? Financial performance is more about revenue, is more about profit, is more about cost. So what is non-financial performance? Non-financial performance is more about like customer satisfaction. It is more about quality. It is more about productivity. It is more about staff morale and staff motivation. It is about innovation. Innovation. This is about competitiveness. Competitiveness. So these are all non-financial measures of performance. Okay, you will be learning here. Then after this, you will learn about divisional performance and transfer pricing. This is one of the trickiest topic in performance management, but not difficult, but definitely challenging. Divisional performance and transfer pricing. For example, if your business has multiple divisions, for example, if I give you example like Lux Resorts, for example. Lux Resorts has many resorts, okay, even in Mauritius, and it also has resorts outlying Mauritius as well, like Maldives or like Bali or China and other locations. So we suppose that every resort is considered as a division. So then the management of the Lux Resorts can measure the performance of each division separately and individually. This will offer the management opportunity to know better how each resort is performing. Similarly, for example, another example I can give you, like IBL, for example, or ENL Group. These groups are large groups with many different business units and many different divisions. So they can compare performance of their different divisions, and they can measure performance of each division separately to get to know how each division is performing. Okay, and the last part is about specific performance analysis issues in non-for-profit organizations. Here you will have the opportunity to measure performance in not-for-profit. What are not-for-profit? Like as government organizations, government departments. For example, like hospitals, let's say government hospitals, or you talk about universities such as University of Mauritius, for example, or government schools, for example. So how to measure performance in not-for-profit organization. So this is a quick introduction of performance management syllabus. I hope you have got some idea about what you can expect from this overall performance management syllabus and the range of the topics that you will be covering and learning from. Section F of the syllabus is not about the technical knowledge, but it's more about the employability and technology skills. Means because you will be taking computer-based exams, so you are supposed or you are expected to have the basic knowledge of hardware, software, how to use the software, how to use the different technologies to day-to-day work. Okay, so this is a quick, brief introduction of the performance management syllabus. I would love to hear from you. If you have any question, please feel free. Any question? Any question from your side? Is there any question? One more thing. My teaching style, you might have noticed, is more participating. I always encourage my students to participate, ask questions. When they are not clear, feel free. Okay, and this I always expect my students. Okay, so please, this is your class and this is your right to ask questions. So always feel free. Okay, good. All right, next, let's talk about the performance management paper. The syllabus is assessed by a 3-hour computer-based exam. How many hours? 3 hours. 3 hours computer-based exam. Prior to the start of the exam, candidates are given an extra 10 minutes to read exam instructions. So what is that? All questions are compulsory. Yes, in performance management, all questions are compulsory. The exam will contain both computational and discursive elements. Yes, there will be both numbers and discussion. Numbers, calculations, and discussion. Some questions will adopt a scenario or case study approach. Candidates are provided with a formula sheet. Yes, you will be provided with a formula sheet where a number of formulas will be given. Performance management paper is divided into 3 sections. There are 3 sections. Section A of the exam comprises 15 objective test questions of 2 marks each. 15 objective test questions of 2 marks each. So mean total 30 marks will be from section A. Section B of the exam comprises of 3 case style questions. These each contain 5 objective test questions of 2 marks each, which are based around a common scenario. So in the section B, you will have the like 3 case style questions, scenario-based questions, and under each case style question, you will have the 5 objective test questions. So total, you can expect the like 15 questions at the rate of 2. So 30 marks will be for section B. Section C will be of different, because in the section C, there will be 20 marks constructed response question. Constructed response question means these are longer scenario-based questions, 2 questions. One of the 20 marks question will come from the performance measurement and control area of the syllabus, and the other will come from decision-making techniques and or budgeting and control areas of the syllabus. So let me make it simple for you. There are 2 questions in the section C. One question out of 2 from section E. And section E is about, what is section E? Performance, measurement, and control. So one question will be from section E, and one question from section B, section C, or section D. Section C is about decision making. And section D is about budgeting and control. Okay, all right. So one question will be definitely coming from section E for 20 marks, and one question from section C or section D. So that's why we will need to have the sufficient practice. So whatever topic, whatever question is tested, we should be prepared well for that. Okay, all right. So this is about the quick summary of all the section. This is section A, this is section B, and this is section C. We have discussed already. Okay. Exam technique for performance management. Performance management, although the questions are not very long or not very scenario based, unlike advanced level, but still you need to learn technique of how to attempt performance management questions. So this technique involves read and interpret requirements very carefully. Failure to do this is often the cause of poor scores. This is from examiner or the marker. Performance management marker has these suggestions that read and interpret requirements very carefully. You know, in the multiple choice questions, if a student or a candidate does not read it clearly, there is chance ending up in making a wrong choice or wrong answer. So definitely we will be working on that. I will teach you, I will train you how to read the requirements. Number 2, ensure that you have read all the requirements and noted the mark allocation for each requirement. This is especially important in CB, as the requirements might be split over several screens, especially in the like section B and section C of paper. Each requirement should be properly broken down into number of things being asked to do so that it can be established what is being asked. I will train you, I will help you understand how to do all this. It is easier to be more focused when answering a question using word processing and spreadsheet, as the mere fact that what has been written or calculated can be seen more clearly, which helps you to avoid the temptation to discuss things which are irrelevant. Yes, this is the benefit of using computer-based answers. Also, if you realize that you have missed a point out from an earlier part of question, it is easier to go back and insert it in the correct place. Yes, this is another advantage of using the Microsoft Word or Excel when you are writing your answer, unlike paper-based, because in the paper-based, once a mistake is done, or if you want to add more content or more detail to your already developed answer, it would not be possible. But in computer-based, in Word or Excel, this is possible. If you got a new idea, if you want to explain more, you can create space and add your point. Finally, please remember to use the spreadsheet functionality available. Totals should be calculated by inserting formula rather than typing the number. That is highly recommended. And this is only possible when you have appropriate practice. This is only possible with practice, practice, and practice. Because with practice, you will have the more confidence of how to make all that calculation and use of the formula. So practice only in the computer, okay, or in the Excel or in the Word. So we will be doing our questions, our calculations, our all the writing discussions in the Word or spreadsheet. So I will always encourage you to have your laptop with you or desktop with you whenever you are taking your class, especially when we will be having the practice. So this will be important requirement for you. Do your all working everything in your Word or spreadsheet. Okay, there are a few things that you need to know from the day one. Our starting date is Saturday, 6th Jan 2024, and finish date will be Saturday, 4th May 2024. Number of classes are 18 plus 4. So total are 18 plus 4 extra classes. So total classes will be 22 classes. Now let's talk about a very important thing, that is number of tests. This time we are integrating, especially in my classes, I am going to have 3 tests now for the students. First test will be after your 10 classes. Test number 1 after 10 classes. So this will be in the second week of March. Second test you can expect after 14 classes in the first week of April, and third test will be after 18 classes in the first week of May, last class, before last class. You will have the all feedbacks. Feedbacks will be given to you after your test, and on the basis of the feedback, you will have the opportunity to update on your preparation, how well you are prepared for your exam. Now, I know on the basis of the past experience, sometimes students miss their test. And why do they miss? When they are not prepared. Because when you are prepared, test will not be anything difficult for you. You will say, okay, I'm ready, I will take test. But when a student is not ready, not prepared, student is delaying or missing the exam, and that would be seriously losing the opportunity in case when you will not take the test. One solution is you have from day one, as you have mentioned that performance management is a challenging paper. Performance management has a lot of syllabus to cover. So one way how to manage this paper effectively from day one. From day one, you have a schedule. Discipline is key for preparation of any exam, but I would say for performance management, discipline will be very important. Because this is a computer-based exam, so let's say, for example, that 20 hours per week of your study, let's say, for example, you can have increase or decrease up to your availability of time. But because this is a large syllabus and this is a more MCQs, so what I suggest, like 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 5 plus 5. This is the simple formula you need to follow, like 2 hours of study every day for 5 days, or you can have the 5 hours of study in the weekend, like Saturday and Sunday. So 16 to 20 hours of study is required for you in order to have relaxed preparation and well preparation for your exam, and to avoid panic, avoid stress, avoid pressure. In the last months. Of course, in your mind, you would be that you are going to take June exam. But imagine if you will be missing the classes, if you will be missing the preparation, then you may think, okay, you are not prepared, you can go for September or December. And I can tell you, the more delay means you are going away from the success. Because the more delay in your exam, you will have to give more to the preparation. So better you are studying now. Keep in mind that yes, you are going to take exam in June. Okay, June exam, and think of what you have to do. This is your target. This is your target. Now you have to strategize. You have to plan how to achieve it. Okay, June exam success. You have to pass this paper in June. So how many hours? What you have to do? What are the resources available for you? Both knowledge plus practice. What resources are available? How you can enhance your knowledge every day basis, whether you are studying 30 minutes every day, 1 hour or 2 hours, keep your connection with this paper. By the way, any study, you are studying any paper, you have to have a connection. Every day, you must have a study schedule. It should be on your top priority. You can cut your social media time, but you cannot cut because this is a very clear goal. This is related to your career. This is related to your promotion. This is related to your professional advancement. So this is very important for you. So from day one, you need to schedule, yes, I am going to study these hours, these minutes every day. And what you have to study, later we will discuss it in the next classes, that what and how you should spend your time, like 20 minutes or 30 minutes for reading some articles, some notes, and 20 minutes or 30 minutes for practice questions, and which practice questions. So you have to plan your study. You have to plan it. Okay, and you know the resources available. From my side, I will be providing you notes, I will be providing you the practice kit, but there are resources available on the ACCA website as well. You may be aware of that. There are two major resources available on the ACCA website. One is called Study Hub, another one is called ACCA Practice Platform. In the Study Hub, there are topic by topic notes, short notes available. There are topic by topic practice available. Okay. And here in the practice platform, there are past papers available. You are aware of this? Are you aware of these resources? My dear, are you aware of these resources? These are free resources, free. Do you know about these Study Hub and ACCA platform? Have you tried to explore? Hello? Okay, perfect. So you need to, these are available in my ACCA when you will log in into my ACCA. So over there, you can find these resources. And I would suggest to start exploring these resources from day one. I will suggest you a few articles that you need to read, and in this way, you can start exploring on the everyday basis. Okay, all right. Any questions so far? Any question so far? Okay, so have you got idea about the syllabus of performance management and about the paper and everything? Okay, we can have a quick short break now, and after break we will be back for having a basic concepts understanding. Okay, we will be refreshing basic concepts, for example, about absorption costing, about marginal costing, and then we will move on to activity-based costing. So these are all we are going to cover today. Okay, so 5 minutes of break time. We are going to have 5 minutes, and after 5 minutes, we will be back with our absorption costing, marginal costing, and then activity-based costing. Okay, stay tuned. Welcome back. So we are now going to have a quick learning about basic costing systems. So from this, we will move on to activity-based costing. Because you have come with background of management accounting, where some students might have studied how to calculate absorption and marginal cost, but other students might not have got opportunity to learn about this. So no need to worry. You all have the opportunity to revise your concept. Let's start. A quick recap of absorption and marginal costing. What is absorption costing? Absorption costing is a costing method, a way to calculate cost. Absorption costing is a form of costing or a costing method in which cost of products are calculated by adding an amount for indirect cost, which are called overheads, to the direct cost of production. In other words, we add direct cost and indirect cost in absorption costing. Although it is possible to absorb administration, selling, and distribution cost into the cost of product, it has been more usual in practice to restrict absorption costing to production cost. So let me make it simple for you. How to calculate cost under absorption costing. Under absorption costing, so we start with materials. First of all, direct materials. What is direct material? Direct material is a material that can be easily traced from a product. So we have to calculate what is the cost of material. Then we will calculate cost of direct labor. What is direct labor? Direct labor is a labor that is directly involved in the manufacturing or in the making of a product. So that is direct labor. Then we will add other direct expenses. Other direct expenses are those expenses, or you can also call these as relevant expenses, which are incurred upon direct request of a customer. For example, I am making these pens. I make these pens. Now, I am using regular material for its overall structure or its overall, this overall, you can say, exterior, okay? But a customer who come and request that you will be using this tip of gold. In regular, I'm using plastic tip, but a customer would come and ask that this tip of this pen should be of gold plated or silver, or use a diamond here. Okay, so this extra expense or this specific expense I am incurring in making this pen only for the request of the customer. And this will become my direct expense, and I will add it here. When I will add all this, this will become my direct cost of production. This is called direct cost of production. Let me make it simple. Direct cost of production is the sum of direct material, direct labor, and direct expenses. But it is not always there will be direct expenses. No. Most of the cases, there will be just direct material and direct labor. So do you know that sum of direct material and direct labor is called prime cost? What is called? What is called? Prime cost. So next time when someone asks you what is a prime cost, you can say that this is the direct material and direct labor. Okay. Now, after prime cost or the direct cost, the prime cost or direct cost. After calculating this, you will absorb overheads into the direct cost or prime cost. So this is a challenge now. How to absorb overheads? in order to calculate full production cost. So let me make it simple. First direct material, then direct labor. Sum of both is equal to prime cost or direct cost. If there is any other direct expense, you will add that. So this is your direct cost. Now you have to absorb overheads into the direct cost. So this is the process of absorbing overheads in order to calculate full production cost. Now let's talk about this very important element of how to absorb production overheads into the cost of a product. Okay, so for this, you need to calculate overhead absorption rate. To absorb overheads, into the cost of a product, we need to calculate overhead absorption rate. Okay, how to calculate overhead absorption rate? The overhead absorption rate is determined or calculated in advance for the financial year when standard costing is used. Yes, normally it is calculated in advance. It is calculated in one of the following ways. So this is the way how to calculate overhead absorption rate. Budgeted production overheads divided by budgeted activity. This is the standard formula. This is standard formula. Please, you need to remember it. Whenever I ask you to calculate overhead absorption rate, you know how to calculate it. Budgeted or estimated overheads divided by budgeted activity. Okay, budgeted overheads divided by budgeted activity. So budgeted activity can be either labor hours, machine hours, or number of units. That can be anything. Budgeted activity can be anything. It can be machine hours, it can be labor hours, or it can be anything. Whatever is there, it will be mentioned. It will be specified that you should use labor hours, you should use machine hours, or you should use number of units as a budgeted activity to calculate overhead rate. Okay, I have mentioned it here. The activity, this one, is the number of labor hours in the year, the number of machine hours, or the number of units produced, depending on the basis of absorption. So my dear, this is how to calculate overhead absorption rate. How to calculate overhead absorption rate that will be absorbed here. Are you clear? Are you clear how to calculate overhead absorption rate? Are you understood? I will expect you all, if you are not clear, you simply tell me, I will repeat it. Is it clear to you, my dear? Everyone has understood how to calculate overhead rate? Okay, no problem. I will explain it. Okay, let me explain the overall absorption costing system. In absorption costing, by the way, the difference between absorption costing and marginal costing is only the way overheads are absorbed. In absorption costing, we absorb overheads into the cost, whereas under marginal costing, we don't absorb fixed overheads. That is the difference. Okay, we are talking about right now how to calculate product cost under absorption costing. Our topic is, our discussion is how to calculate cost under absorption costing. So under absorption costing, first you need to calculate prime cost. So prime cost or direct cost is sum of direct material, direct labor, and any other direct expenses. So you sum of all these, you have direct cost. After direct cost, you have to absorb overheads into the cost. So in order to absorb overheads into the cost, you need absorption rate. And how to calculate absorption rate is this way. Absorption rate is equal to budgeted overheads divided by budgeted activity. Budgeted overheads divided by budgeted activity. Budgeted overheads divided by budgeted activity. In this way, you can calculate overheads, and using this, you can absorb it. Don't worry if you are having any confusion. No need to worry. I am here. No need to worry. I will explain it. With the help of this example, will help you understand the whole concept very well. A manufacturing company makes two products, X and Y. Budget information about these products is as follows. So product X, product Y. Particulars are direct cost per unit. You are given direct cost. Direct cost this means material and labor is already included in it. That's why it says direct cost. Material and labor is already included in it. So for X, this is 10. For Y, this is 7. Direct labor time to make each unit, 15 minutes and 20 minutes. Budgeted production for the year is 8,000 units and 9,000 units. Budgeted production overheads for the year are 120,000. The company uses absorption costing system and a direct labor absorption rate. Required, what is the absorption rate for overheads? And what is the budgeted cost per unit of X and Y? Okay, let's solve this question. And this question, make sure you understand very well. So first of all, let's start with first calculate overhead absorption rate. Overhead absorption rate. It is also called OAR, overhead absorption rate. What is formula? OAR formula is total budgeted overheads divided by total budgeted activity. Total budgeted overheads divided by total budgeted activity. Total budgeted overheads, check. Are there total budgeted overheads given or not? Are there budgeted overheads given or not? Budgeted overheads are given or not? Yes, given. What is the amount? This one. How much? 120,000. So this is $120,000 is the budgeted overheads. Now I ask you, is total budgeted activity given? What is the budgeted activity that you will use for rate calculation? That is labor hours, because it mentioned direct labor hour rate, using labor hour rate. So means we need total direct labor hours. We need it. We need to calculate it as total. Its total is not given. So we have to calculate it as total. how to calculate its total. This is a bit tricky calculation, but I expect all of you to make sure you understand it, because at performance management, this type of calculation, you can expect a lot of calculation. So please make sure you understand this, how we are going to calculate it. We need to calculate it as total labor hours, or total direct labor hours we need to calculate. So what information are available? We have information available that labor time per unit is given, and number of units are also given. So this point, to calculate total direct labor hours, we need two information. Labor time per unit and total production for each product. Okay, so have a look. Are both information given? Yes, both information are given. So product X, labor hours. How many are product X labor hours? X product uses 15 minutes and its production is 8,000 units. So 15 minutes per unit multiplied by how many units we are going to make? 8,000 units. 8,000 units. Can you please calculate how many hours are this? Can you please calculate how many hours are this? And also calculate product Y labor hours. Each unit of Y requires 20 minutes, and we are making 9,000 units. So 20 minutes multiplied by 9,000. Yes, please. Can you calculate? 15 multiplied by 8,000 divided by 60. And similarly, 20 multiplied by 9,000 divided by 60. Please calculate. I would appreciate all of you to calculate your own numbers. So 15 multiplied by 8,000. 15 multiplied by 8,000 divided by 60. These are 2,000. Is it 2,000? And next. Thank you, Shika. Thank you. And for Y, Y is 20 multiplied by 9,000 divided by 60. This is 3,000. So total, thank you, total labor hours are 5,000. So in this way, we have done this calculation. And this type of calculation, as I mentioned earlier, that at performance management level, you can expect in every topic this type of calculation. So please make sure you are clear. 5,000. So we can use this 5,000 now here. 12,000 divided by 5,000. So what is the overhead rate? What is overhead rate? What is OAR? $2.4 per labor hour. Is it same? 2.4 per labor hour. Okay, 2.4 per labor hour. So this is how you can calculate labor rate. This is done. Now we can move on to second part of the question. Second part of the question is, this is done. Is it clear to everyone? Is this clear to everyone, please? Is this clear?
I am a bit confused.
Sorry?
Yes, I am a bit confused about the budgeted production overhead was 120, and it is now 12,000.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It is 120,000. My miscalculation. Thank you very much, Teresa. 120,000 divided by 5,000. So this is 24. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Now clear, Teresa?
Yes, thank you very much.
Huh?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Safinas. Thank you, Dukshita. Nahir. Thank you very much, Chotu. Thank you, Shika. Perfect. So this is the rate, $24 per direct labor hour. So rate is done. Now, after calculation of rate, you can absorb this overhead rate into the cost of product to calculate the cost of each product. Okay. So now we can calculate cost of both products using OAR. So product X, product Y. Okay, direct cost. Their direct cost is 10 and 7. Direct cost is 10 and 7. Now absorb overheads. Product X. Do you think we should absorb this 24 straight into the cost of each product, or we need to adjust it according to the time consumed? I mean, we cannot add this $24 per hour into the cost of each product. We cannot. Can we do it like this? Can we do it like this? Is it correct? Hello? Is it correct or incorrect? Is it correct or incorrect? it is correct or incorrect. This is not correct. The reason, because this 24 is for per hour labor rate, whereas X product is using just 15 minutes of time. So we have to proportionate calculation. Okay, 15 minutes. So this 24 is per hour rate. Okay, so $24 divided by 60 multiplied by 15. This is how much, please, for X. Similarly, for Y, you have to calculate 24 divided by 60 multiplied by 1 unit of Y consumed 20 minutes. Yes. So how much is there? 24 divided by 60 multiplied by 15. So $6 will be here absorbed. Product cost is 16 for X. And how much for Y? For Y, this is, if you calculate, please, 24 divided by 60 multiplied by 20. So this is 8. This is 8, and here it is 15. Is it same calculation? You have done the same calculation, please check. Have you done same calculation? And at performance management, you will be doing this type of calculation. Basically, a lot of students, they struggle in these tiny little calculations, and I will be making you like more comfortable with a lot of practice questions, okay, by doing these type of calculation. So I hope you have understood this one. I would appreciate all of you to do this calculation, okay? So this one, product cost are 15 and 16 for X and Y, and the overhead rate is 24. Is it clear to everyone? If you are clear, can we move on? If you are clear, can we move on? Kaviraj, have you understood, my dear? Kaviraj, have you understood? Hello, Bhamini. Bhamini, have you understood, my dear? Perfect. Najiba, Nahir, Mahir, have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So this is how you have to do calculations at performance management. Good. Perfect. So this is about absorption costing. I hope you have got the opportunity to refresh your concepts. Now we are moving on to activity-based costing. You have seen in absorption costing that we use just one overhead rate. This method was good when businesses were simple, when products were simple, when there were little services, when overheads were simple to estimate, when most of the overheads were related to labor or machines. But now we are in 2024. Okay, I can take a note for you here, just for your knowledge purpose, that traditional absorption costing, traditional absorption costing method was appropriate like when, as I mentioned, when production systems were simple, when products were simple, when processes were simple, when companies were making simple products, and when overheads were mostly largely related to labor or machines, and there were few services overheads. But now, imagine this was okay in like 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, but after 80s, things started changing. And now we are in 2024, where products are complicated. Just look at your mobile phone. Just imagine your electronics. Just think of your subscriptions. You are having Netflix, Spotify, you have the Disney, you have lots of softwares, apps you are using. Business models have changed in 2024. So this simple method of overhead absorption is not appropriate for modern day organization. This is the point you need to note down, that traditional absorption costing method is not appropriate for modern day business organizations. So what is the best way? They need more advanced method of cost calculation, and that is activity-based costing. Now we are going to learn about activity-based costing. Activity-based costing is a form of absorption costing. However, it differs from traditional absorption costing because it takes a different approach to the apportionment and absorption of production overhead cost. What does that mean? Activity-based costing is based on the following assumptions. In modern manufacturing environment, a large portion of total cost are overhead cost. Large portion of cost, total cost or overhead cost. Yes. Think of modern cars. How many sensors are installed in your new car today? Imagine how many types of sensors are installed. Similarly, you just imagine, think of the like restaurants, think of the hospitals, think of schools, colleges, universities. You think of construction. How many different types of overheads are now being incurred? A large proportion of total cost are overhead costs. And direct labor costs are relatively very small. Why? Because today, more and more production are automated. There are more automation. Due to automation, if you look at the assembly plants, have you ever watched the YouTube videos where robots are being used in car manufacturing and car assembly plants? Now, you might have seen those type of scenarios. So there's a less use of labor in modern manufacturing. So because overhead costs are large, it is appropriate to trace these costs as accurately as possible to the products that create those costs, that consume those costs. So this has become even more important. In traditional absorption costing, production overheads are allocated or apportioned to production departments and are then absorbed on the basis of the volume of production work using rate of labor hour or machine hour. And this approach is outdated, and this method of dealing with overhead cost is now outdated. Outdated overheads like rent, depreciation, quality maintenance, checking. This is outdated. Okay. When is ABC relevant? Your performance management questions can ask you. Questions can ask you. When is ABC relevant? By the way, my dear, if you not clear, you can simply send me text on the WhatsApp for any topic and I will explain it to you. Please don't be shy. This is your class. Any topic, any page, any word, any term, any question, any calculation, if you are not clear, never be shy. Never be shy in learning. Just take a photo, image, or simply text me in the WhatsApp and ask, sir, please explain this. And I will be feeling more motivated that yes, my students are seriously studying. Okay. I always take it a privilege, honor for me that when my students ask for help. So please don't be shy. I know some students might having difficulty if they are studying these topics first time, especially if you have not studied management accounting. So just drop me a message. I will explain even 10 minutes, 15 minutes, no problem. Okay. When is ABC relevant? ABC is more expensive system to operate than traditional costing. The reason why it is more expensive because it requires technology, it requires software, okay, it requires personnel, people to manage and handle it. So that's why it's more expensive. So it should only be introduced when it is appropriate to do so. Activity-based costing could provide much more meaningful information about product cost and profits when. So these are the circumstances where ABC can provide more meaningful information about product cost and profits. Number one, where indirect costs are high relative to direct cost. Indirect cost mean overheads, where overheads are high than direct cost. And in those situations, we can use ABC. Where products or services are complex. What is a complex product? For example, I told you modern car assembly is highly complex. Products or services are tailored to customer specification. Yes, today products are adjusted like, you know, the personalized products where customers' demands, customers' features are embedded into the products. More and more on-demand products. Some products or services are sold in large numbers, but others are sold in small numbers. So these are the different circumstances, these are the different situations that make it good, feasible to use activity-based costing. In this situation, ABC will often result in significantly different product or service overhead cost compared with traditional absorption costing. So I hope you have understood the situations where activity-based costing is more accurate and useful. Okay, next, now, how to apply activity-based costing. So first of all, step number one, start with identifying activities. A problem with introducing activity-based costing is deciding which activities create or drive cost. Yes, this is one of the problems. So they should be activities that use a large amount of resources, such as labor time. However, there are many different activities within a manufacturing company, and it is not always clear which activities should be used for costing. So, my dear, first of all, step number one is identify activities that drive cost. So this is the step number one when we are applying activity-based costing. So example of activities might be special material handling activity, special material handling and storage, purchasing, customer order processing, quality control and inspection, production planning, repair and maintenance. All these are activities, and all these activities drive cost. They consume cost. So these are activities. Once identifying activities in a system of activity-based costing, it's preferable to select a fairly small number of activities. If a large number of activities are selected, the costing system could become too complex and time-consuming to operate. The activities are selected on the basis of management judgment and experience and their knowledge of activities within the manufacturing. So this is the step number one, identify activities, or what are activities. Next, step number two. Step number two is identify appropriate cost drivers for each activity. Identify cost drivers. What are cost drivers? For each activity, there should be a cost driver. Basically, a cost driver is cost causer. Cost causer means this is the factor that drive cost of that activity. For example, if we have the activity of special material purchasing, so the more special material we will purchase, the more this activity will incur cost. So for every activity, there is a cost driver. You can note it down. For every activity, there is a cost driver. For each activity, there should be a cost driver. An activity might have more than one cost driver, but if an activity does have more than one cost driver, the costing system becomes more complex. Just one cost driver per activity is desirable. So keep in mind, one driver for one activity. A cost driver for an activity can be defined as a factor that determines the cost of the activity. It is something that will cause the cost for an activity to increase as more of the activity is performed. That will make it simple for you. As I mentioned earlier, that step number one, we need to identify activities. Step two, we need to identify cost drivers. Okay. So it is not always obvious what the cost driver for an activity might be. A cost driver might be unique to the activity. Okay, no problem. You will be understand all this simple. Step number three. Step three, determining cost drivers. Sorry, this is the step number two. Examples of cost drivers. For example, the activity name is material handling and storage. So imagine what will be the driver of this activity. Its driver can be raw materials, purchases of materials, or finished goods, volume of products made. So these can be drivers. The more of these drivers, the more cost will be incurred. Next, customer order processing. So what can be the driver for this number of customer order? More customer order, more cost of this activity. Next, material purchasing. What can be its driver? Number of material purchase orders. Number of purchase orders. More orders, more material purchasing cost will be incurred. Quality control and inspection. What can be its driver? Number of inspections. More inspections, more cost incurred. Next, production planning. What can be driver? Number of production runs or batches. More runs, more production batches, more production planning cost. Next, repairs and maintenance. Repairs and maintenance. So what can be its driver? Number of machines, hours operated. More machine hours operated, more repairs and maintenance is required. Similarly, selling. Selling is an activity. So what can be the driver for selling? Number of sale orders, number of sales orders. And similarly, warehousing and dispatch. So what can be its driver? Number of deliveries made. Number of deliveries made. So these are examples of drivers and activities. I hope you have understood all this, that what is an activity and what is cost driver. So these are the two fundamental concepts in the activity-based costing: activity and activity driver. Okay, any question? Is there any question? Is there any question, my dear? Okay, all right, thank you. Next is calculate cost per driver and cost per unit using activity-based costing. This is performance management questions can test your knowledge. Okay, calculate cost per driver and cost per unit using activity-based costing. So let's have a quick look at the activity-based costing process. ABC process. Step number one, identify activities. Step number one, identify activities. What are activities? Examples of activities are production scheduling, machining, dispatching, inspection. Step number two, determine what caused the cost of each activity. So you have to identify cost driver. Identify cost driver. So we already have discussed the different types of cost drivers. Number of batch setups, machine hours for machining, number of dispatch orders for dispatching, number of inspections. Step number three, calculate total cost of each activity. This is also called cost pool. What is called? Cost pool. Cost pool means the total cost of each activity. So total cost for machining, total cost for dispatching, you have to calculate it. This will be given. This will be given in the questions. You don't have to calculate it. Step number four, you have to calculate their driver rate. Driver rate. And many questions can ask you this one. Calculate the driver rate. Step number four, driver rate calculate. So you will be, what is the formula for driver rate? Total cost of activity divided by total number of driver. So this is the formula to calculate driver rate at step number four. I'm revising. Step one, identify activities. Step two, identify driver for each activity. Step three, calculate total cost of each activity, also called cost pool. Step four, calculate driver rate for each activity. So formula is given here. step number 5. Step number 5 is calculate total overhead cost for each product. With the help of driver rates, you will calculate the overhead cost for each product in this way. Okay, we will be doing many questions in the next class on this point. And in the step number 6 is about calculate overhead cost per unit. So in this way, you can calculate and deal with overheads. Okay, using the activity-based costing. Step number 1, identify activity. Step number 2, driver. Step number 3, total activity cost. Step number 4, total number of drivers and driver rate. Step number 5, you will calculate the total overhead cost for each product, total. And step number 6, you will calculate overhead cost per unit. Many questions can test your this knowledge, I can tell you. MCQs can ask you step number 4. MCQs can ask you step number 5. And MCQs can ask you at step number 6. So you need to know how to do all these workings, how to do all these calculations. Any question, please? Any question, please? Are you clear with ABC step-by-step process? Have you understood ABC step-by-step process, my dear? Okay, all right, so let's try this question and apply our ABC learning right away. Question, brick by brick. BBB is a building business that provides a range of building services to the public. Recently, they have been asked to quote for garage conversion GC and extension to properties EX, and have found that they are winning fewer GC contracts than expected. In addition, BBB also and reclaimed bricks. BBB has a policy to price all jobs at budgeted total cost plus 50%. Overheads are currently absorbed on a labor hour basis. Triple B or BBB thinks that a switch to activity-based costing to absorb overheads would reduce the cost associated with GC and hence make them more competitive. You are provided with the following data. So this data is provided. Overhead categories, supervisors, planners, property-related total overheads. Annual overheads 90,000, 70,000 to 40,000, total are 400,000. Activity drivers are site visits, planning documents, labor hours. Total number of activities per year 500 to 50 and 40,000. A typical GC takes 300 labor hours to complete. A GC requires only one site visit by a supervisor and needs only one planning document to be raised. And EX requires 6 site visits and 5 planning documents. So calculate question 1. Calculate the total overheads assigned to a GC using labor hours to absorb the overheads. Okay, so this question is good question for you to apply both traditional absorption costing and activity-based costing. So question 1, calculate total overhead assigned to GC using labor hours to absorb overheads. So labor hours overhead for GC. Okay, all right. So first of all, what we need to do, question 1. First, we need to calculate overhead rate. First, we need overhead rate that needs to be calculated. So what is the formula for overhead rate? OAR is equal to total budgeted overheads divided by total budgeted how they are absorbing. They absorb overheads on the basis of labor hours. So we will use labor hours here, budgeted labor hours. Okay, so total budgeted overheads, how much are budgeted overheads? This is number given, 400,000 total budgeted overheads are given. Okay, annual overheads total 400,000. Okay, so 400,000 divided by total budgeted labor hours. You have to check whether labor budgeted hours are available. Yes, luckily labor hours are available. Otherwise, you could have to calculate, but this is given. Total number of activities per year, so labor hours are available. Okay, labor hours are available. So this is 40,000. 40,000. So what is the rate? Rate is OAR is $10 per labor hour. Okay, so this is done. Now you can, what is the question? Questions about total overhead assigned to GC. So you can calculate now total overheads for GC. Overhead rate is $10 per hour. And how many hours are required for one GC? How many hours are required for GC? Number of hours. Required for one GC. Yes, $10 per hour multiplied by how many hours are required? This is mentioned here. A typical GC takes 300 labor hours to complete. 300 labor hours to complete. So this one multiplied by 300 labor hours. So the answer is 3,000 is the overheads calculated. Is it clear? Is this clear, my dear? Are you clear this? Hello, hello. Guys, you are not responding. Are you clear this question? Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now, question 2. If you are not clear, please just take a note and let me know. This is your class and you have the right to ask question. This is your class, so you don't need to be shy. Question 2. Calculate total overheads assigned to a GC using activity-based costing principles in respect of supervisor cost. What? Total overheads assigned to GC using ABC principles in respect of supervisor cost. It's a tricky question. This is tricky question, and PM exam also test with this type of question. You see, instead of asking a total cost of GC under ABC, it is only asked for supervisor cost, supervisor. So cost of supervisor for GC, okay? Cost of supervisor for GC. So first, you need, now the activity is clear, activity driver is clear, driver cost pool is given, so you need to directly go on step number 4. First, you need to calculate driver rate for supervision cost for supervisors. Okay, driver rate. So what is the formula for driver rate? Driver rate formula is total cost of supervision divided by number of drivers. So that is supervisors, this is the cost, 90,000, and its driver is site visits, that is 500. 9,000 divided by 500, okay? Supervisors 9,000. Cost of supervisors divided by number of site visits. So that is 90,000 divided by 500. What is answer? 90,000 divided by 500. So this is $180 per site visit. You have calculated driver rate. You have calculated driver rate. Using this driver rate, you can calculate now cost of supervisor for GC. So that is 180 multiplied by how many site visits are required for GC? GC requires only one site visit by a supervisor and needs only one planning day. So one site visit is required. So 180 multiplied by one site visit is equal to $180 cost. Is this clear? Is this clear, my dear? How to calculate activity-based costing? Good, 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 good. Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you for your responses. And we are moving on to question number 3. Question 3. Question 3, calculate total overhead assigned to EX using ABC principles in respect of planning cost. Planning cost. So we are going to calculate overhead cost, planning overhead, cost of EX. So what we have to do, first we need to calculate driver rate. Total cost of planning. So what is the cost of planning? Planners. This is cost. Planners. 70,000. 70,000 divided by number. It's driver is planning documents. Driver is planning documents. 70,000 divided by 250. So what is the cost? 70,000 divided by 250. Very good. Thank you, Najiba. 280 per 280 per planning document. Now, how many planning documents are required for planning cost of EX? This is equal to 280 multiplied by number of planning documents. How many planning documents are required for EX? How many you can see? How many planning documents are required for EX? My dear, this is. How many planning documents are required for EX? 5. Okay, so this one, 280 multiplied by 5. So how much it is? 280 multiplied by 5. This is $1,400. $1,400 is the answer for question 3. So this is how you have to tackle this topic and questions. Okay, any question? Is there any confusion or any question? All right, so that's all from our today class. I really appreciate you all for your wonderful participation. I always encourage you, ask questions, response to discussions, discuss, because these things make classes lively. And literally, this is really, you can say, pleasing for me as well when my students are asking questions, when my students are participating in the class. And in the online, this is a very important to keep the interest, to keep the focus. You need to participate. And from the day one, my dear, you need to be on top of the game. Performance management is not difficult. Yes, it is lengthy, but not difficult. It is, its syllabus is bulky, no doubt. But if you are on top of the game from the day one, there will be nothing difficult for you. So I will recommend you top of the game from day one. From day one, be on top of the game. Okay, all right. So in the next class, we will be starting, although activity-based costing we have almost done, but we will have the more questions. We will have a quick revision of this activity-based costing in the next class, because this was just an introductory class where I offer you the overall introduction of the syllabus and about the paper and about the exam. So you have seen PM is not very difficult, but it demands time, discipline, and from the day one. This will help you prepare for your June exams. Okay, for any question, I am here. Feel free, ask me. I take it as a pride for myself, a pleasure for myself when my students ask questions. So in the next class, we will be working on activity-based costing, life cycle costing, and target costing. 3 topics we will be covering. So please make sure you don't miss the classes and let me know for any problem. Okay, so that's all from our today class. Thank you very much for being part of the class. Thank you very much for choosing our course. We will have the WhatsApp group. So through that group, we will be able to communicate. Okay. You will be added to the WhatsApp group where you will be able to communicate. So don't worry about that. Okay, my dear, thank you and have a very beautiful evening. See you on next Saturday in the next class. Bye. Good night.